This happened over the Black Sea, which is currently one of the most contested regions on Earth. It's where Russian and American forces engage in a silent, high-stakes struggle for dominance. And in August 2020, that struggle turned dangerously physical. A US B-52 bomber cruising at 750 feet per second suddenly found itself at the mercy of a Russian Su-27 fighter. But this wasn't just a routine intercept. The Russian pilot did something reckless, something designed to send a message. As you can see, it raced ahead and turned toward the bomber's nose, getting within 100 feet of the American aircraft at the same altitude and then pulling up. It's a maneuver called thumping or headbutting, and the B-52 got caught in the resulting turbulence, which might explain the shaky camera within the American aircraft as it happens. The crew is shaken up, too, as one of them loses control of the camera. The distance made the maneuver even more dangerous than usual. You can see the B-52 cruising along. That's happening at a speed of 750 feet per second. Because of that cruising speed and the distance of the Russian fighter, there's less than 1 second to avoid a collision right here. Little wonder why the United States Air Force condemned the Russian aviators for acting so unprofessionally in this incident. The Su-27 you're looking at likely took off from over here at the Belvik Air Base in occupied Crimea, where fighters are on standby to intercept NATO aircraft in the Black Sea. That's why the B-52 is flying here in the first place. Its patrol is part of a string of activity in recent months, which included drills that practiced launching cruise missiles, which didn't make Moscow very happy. Another incident occurred on the very same day. Look at this picture. It's yet another Su-27. It's not flying over the Black Sea. You're looking at the skies over the Baltic, and it's through the window of another B-52 bomber flying near the Danish island of Bornholm. The move wasn't nearly as dangerous as what you saw in the video earlier, but it was in violation of Danish airspace. Russia has made a habit of intercepting American aircraft in international airspace, ranging from Europe to the Bering Strait. But it's been really aggressive in the Black Sea. 3 years later, the interceptions escalated to physical contact. This is an MQ-9 Reaper drone. It might not be a manned system, but it's very capable. It flies up to 50,000 feet and can stay in the air for 27 hours if it needs to. It's been involved in some high-profile missions, including the hit on Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad in January 2020. Russian pilots know the MQ-9 and know that it's unmanned, so they took the invitation to be much more provocative. 2 Su-27s harassed the Reaper on March 14th of 2023. Here's one of them captured on camera. You can see it coming close at least once, and then again. Then the camera goes out. That's because the Russian aircraft is dumping fuel on the drone in a deliberate effort to blind it. Mission successful. Then at 7:03 a.m. local time, there's a collision. A Russian fighter clips the Reaper's propeller and makes it crash, resulting in a total loss of the aircraft. The U.S. Air Force again accused Russia of flying in an unsafe and unprofessional manner. Moscow naturally denied any contact took place, but later the pilots were given medals for their actions in preventing the Reaper from violating Russia's temporary airspace. Although there were fortunately no human injuries, it was an expensive loss. Each Reaper costs about $30 million each. It was in fact the first collision between American and Russian aircraft since the Cold War and forced the United States to adjust its drone operations in the region. Fortunately, the American operators wiped the Reaper software to prevent its data from falling into Russian hands. But that leads to a question. Why is Russia going to such provocative lengths against such a formidable force as the U.S. military to protect this area? The Black Sea has been of vital geostrategic interest for Russia, for both Russia and the West for centuries. The fall of the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc was a big blow for Russia here. During the Cold War, the Black Sea was practically a Soviet lake. Afterward, it became more and more aligned with the West, and Moscow has long considered that bad news for its military and economic security. Russia's geography means it doesn't have direct access to the world's oceans at all times of the year. Its illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014 was part of its efforts to ensure its continued access to the Mediterranean. Sevastopol in Crimea and Novorossiysk to the west of it on the Russian mainland are Russia's only two warm water ports that don't freeze over in the winter. It badly needs the Black Sea to stay open for its ships, especially the oil and gas exports that come out of Novorossiysk that are vital to its economy. The port has a capacity to export 40 million tons of oil per year. 5.2 million tons on 40 tankers came there in September 2024 alone. If the Black Sea gets closed off to Russia, so does this trade, and so does its Navy's ability to get to the Mediterranean and project power further abroad. Russia intercepted the American aircraft here as a part of its effort to dominate what it considers its near abroad. Since the annexation of Crimea, it's deployed S-400 air defense systems like these as part of its efforts to fortify the area. And that's only the start. It also has electronic warfare systems and drones to add more layers to the defense. Here, just take a look at this for some perspective. Russia's post-2014 control of Crimea means it can cover almost the entire Black Sea under the umbrella of its anti-ship and anti-air missiles. Crimea is the linchpin of Russia's strategy to become a dominant player in the Black Sea. But Russia's strategy goes further than that. It's not above using international law to its advantage when it's convenient. Russia is a party of the Montreux Convention, a treaty from 1936 that prevents warships from passing through the Turkish-controlled Dardanelles and Bosporus. Russia sees the convention as helpful in preventing NATO from having too many naval vessels in the area, since non-Black Sea countries have very limited access, but it goes both ways. The convention also means that Russia cannot reinforce its Black Sea fleet, since the Turks declared its invasion of Ukraine to be a war. The only Russian naval ships that can pass through the straits are those returning to their base. The Black Sea is equally essential for the United States and its NATO allies. Since it invaded Ukraine, Russia has repeatedly used its position there to threaten the world's grain supply, much of which goes through these waters. Ensuring that commercial shipping can freely navigate through these waters is vital for the global economy and the security of NATO countries like Romania and Georgia. It's even important for a comparatively strong Turkey, which imports a lot of its energy from Russia. Just look at the shipping routes to see how much stronger Russia's position has gotten in the Black Sea, thanks to its occupation of internationally recognized Ukrainian territory. Russia is attempting to convert the Black Sea into a privileged area of influence, a locality where it can be the international rulemaker. To counter this threat, the United States and its allies will need to challenge Russia's anti-access area denial (A2AD) strategy with a similar A2AD capacity of its own. That includes a so-called drone wall to surveil and, if necessary, strike at Russian hard power assets to protect NATO's national borders and, presumably, shipping. But if incidents like what happened to the American Reaper in 2023 become too common, building that drone wall will be a lot harder than building Trump's border wall. That's why Russia went ahead with such a provocative attack on the Reaper, to increase the potential cost and the uncertainty for NATO to come up with a containment strategy. It makes leaders question just how far a nuclear-armed Russia is willing to go to defend what it considers its interests in the Black Sea. And it's a small step towards what could be a major shift in international relations. A lot of smart people said, with hopeful glee, that history ended in 1991 when the Soviet Union fell and the Cold War ended. But that post-Cold War period, which President George H.W. Bush called the peace dividend, seems to be proving more and more of a historical anomaly. The incidents you're watching recall something closer to the past, where great power countries competed with each other for influence in vital regions. As General James Hecker of the U.S. Air Force put it after the Reaper collision, this new push by authoritarian powers to disrupt the status quo in those places is a risk to global stability. The Black Sea is one of those vital regions, and Russia's desire to regain the power it lost after the Cold War means that American pilots like these will need to keep their eyes out for more aggressive Russian aircraft. If we've learned anything about Vladimir Putin, he will do as much as he thinks he can get away with. Bye for now.